India Foundation as a moderator on this dais, and as speakers, Geeta Shrivastava, JAYESH, Indo-Pacific Ministry of External Affairs, SRINIVASA RAJU, Chairman, ILABS Group and Founder President, IET Hyderabad. I would now like to hand over the proceedings of the session to our moderator, Rajat SETHI.
Hello, everyone. A very warm good evening to all the delegates out here. We are entering towards one of the final sessions of the day. And I promise you this would be an interesting session which talks about digital economy and how the ASEAN-India relationship in the digital economy is going to flourish in the years to come. Before we start the session, we have two very distinguished guests before us. GEETIKA madam is the Joint Secretary for Indo-Pacific in the Ministry of External Affairs. And Mr. Srinivasa Garu has been heading the TIE, which is the Indus Entrepreneur Ecosystem here in Hyderabad. He has tons of experience of setting up one of the finest incubators in our country, which is called T-Hub. And most of you are going to visit T-Hub physically, I think, day after tomorrow. So with these two distinguished guests, I would want all of you to give a warm round of applause to them. Thank you. So today's topic is something which is very close to my heart, and I have interacted with several of you out there, and all of you are really enthused about digital ecosystem. We all understand that physical barriers to moving of goods has been the main conversation topic in the earlier sessions in the day. But we are going to shift that focus and move to something which is more easily, which can cross borders. And how are the two blocks, the Indian bloc and the ASEAN bloc, working together towards finding a convergence in this region? Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he talks about a model called HIRA model, H-I-R-A. HIRA in Hindi means diamond. And what does he imply by HIRA? He says HIRA are the foundations of our of our economic well-being. H stands for highways, I stands for internet ways, R is for railways, and A is for airways. So as you can imagine, these four constructs or four fundamental building blocks of future infrastructure are so important for any economy's growth. And this is why we have invested a lot of our time and energy building these trilateral highways, which go physically from India into Myanmar, into Thailand, into Cambodia. Have we done enough to build highways on the internet era? Have we done enough to build digital connectivity between our people? And I can tell you there are certain very unique opportunities which come about if you specifically talk about digital connectivity and digital highways. It is these digital goods which can transcend borders, it can cross borders without any inhibition. It can serve populations, it can serve entrepreneurial interests, it can build giant corporations from small ideas, all sitting in your respective countries. And therefore, if I were to give you a few examples, entertainment industry, have all of you seen Tom Cruise's last movie, which was Maverick? How many of you have seen that movie? Okay, so a few of you have seen. Now, Tom Cruise looks really young in that movie. You know why? He's an aged man, but he looks very, very young in that movie. The Top Gun Maverick movie's entire editing was done in India. The movie was being shot in the US, in Hollywood, but through these internet highways, hexabytes of data, which is like thousands of terabytes of data, were being sent to India on a daily basis. And we have some fantastic VFX designers sitting in Bangalore who used to edit out the wrinkles from his face. And those movies and the bits and pieces of those movies were sent back to Hollywood editors who used to compile and put things together in form of that brilliant movie that came out. So how did this enable, how was this enabled? It was done through these giant optical fibers which have been laid over the past decade, which has enabled this kind of an ecosystem to flourish, wherein you don't have to worry about where is your talent sitting across the world. It can be in any corner. You just have to think about innovative, new ideas, and you can see miracles happening around us. I'll give you another example, and this is what some of the younger folks in the audience is going to relate with. It is the gaming industry. These modern video games, the PlayStation ones which have come out, most of these video games are being played by young folks out there. And some of the first friendships that they are creating are not are not those young people sitting in and around that area. I know people sitting in Delhi who are playing video games. The first friends that they are creating is somebody sitting in America, somebody sitting in Singapore, somebody sitting in Philippines. This is how gaming infrastructure is booming, and this is how it is shaping and changing the kind of friendships which have been cultivated. They relate much more easily with their gaming partners who are sitting across the border. These are very interesting. If you look at the creative opportunity that it opens up, it's mind-numbing. Now most of these games are play to earn. You fight in these video games and you earn money out of it. A lot of these young kids are earning several $100,000. But then if you have to move money between different geographies, how do you do that? That opens yet another opportunity. And this is how crypto currencies came into play first in the gaming industry. So gaming industry was the first which opened up this Web3 ecosystem because of a typical issue with the gaming, which was how do you move money from losers to winners who are located across different countries around the world. So this is how, interesting opportunities which have been created through the foundations of digital connectivity infrastructure which were laid around the world in the past decade or so. And in this coming decade, we will foresee that more interesting startup ideas, new opportunities, new skills, which are tailor-made for these kind of industries are going to open up, and which would require a lot of creative thinkings, which all of you young folks sitting out here will have to constantly think about. So go global, think about borderless enterprises that you can build. You don't have to worry about capital. Capital will move across borders seamlessly. You don't have to worry about human resources because that too is going to move seamlessly. Everything is work from home. You don't have to worry how to physically locate. All you have to do is to think about creative and new ways of brainstorming and thinking. Now, ASEAN region has a GDP of 3 trillion. India also has a GDP of 3 trillion. We are 3 times your population, you are 1/3, but per capita you are 3 times higher than us. So net, we are looking at 2 almost equal blocks coming together. Imagine the kind of opportunities that you can create in the digital arena for a population to the size of 2 billion people. So with that thought, I've laid the foundations for this discussion as well, and I would want GEETIKA madam to share with us how is government trying to think about digital opportunities and digital partnerships between the 2 regions. Over to you, ma'am.
Respected Chair, Shri RAJAT SETHI, Visiting Fellow, India Foundation, Distinguished Fellow Panelist, Shri Raju, Chairman ILABS, Excellencies, my dear youth delegate from ASEAN and India, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all. I am delighted to be present here today for the 4th ASEAN-India Youth Summit, which is being organized by India Foundation in collaboration with the ASEAN Foundation in the backdrop of 30th anniversary of ASEAN-India relations, which we celebrated last year as ASEAN-India Friendship Year. This current session, as the tone has been set by the chair, is a very important topic of 21st century digital partnership. I'm sure that all of you here will agree with me that digital transformation is one of the most remarkable development of our era. Its proper use can be a force multiplier in our effort to achieve common goal of growth and prosperity for our people, as well as ensuring poverty alleviation. It also provides a silver lining in our fight against the current challenges of climate change, ensuring energy efficiency and green growth. But these benefits of digital transformation can only be fully realized when the digital access is widespread and truly inclusive. The digital application till now has been seen with the simple business lens of profit and loss without realizing its utility as a public good. India's own experience over the past few years has been that if we make digital architecture truly inclusive, it can bring positive socio-economic transformation on enormous scale and speed for which in this digital commodity or digital network is known about. The transparency of digital mechanism also translate into transparency of governance. India has developed digital public goods on our architecture, which has inbuilt democratic principle. It is a solution by the people, of the people, and for the people. They are based on open sources, open APIs, open standards, which are interoperable and public. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, if we look at the digital journey of India so far, we see that the penetration of mobile phone in India has tremendously increased in the past decade. And today, India has highest per capita data consumption with one of the lowest rate of per gigabyte of mobile data in the world. This has provided the basic foundation for expedited digital transformation in the country. It has been complemented by adoption of two initiatives by the government of India, which are the Aadhaar and the Jan Dhan. The Aadhaar is the 12-digit unique biometric identity assigned to every Indian resident, and Jan Dhan ensure a bank account for every Indian above the age of 10. The runway success of trinity of mobile, Jan Dhan, and Aadhaar has provided the basic foundation for public digital infrastructure of India. This has revolutionized the delivery of basic public goods and services like bill payment, issuance of certificates, booking of public transport, and banking. And we all in India had the experience of standing in big queues to get all these facilities, to get a ration card issued or to get make bill payment, but now we can do it on our handsets. And this has brought government to the doorstep and handsets of the citizens of India. Our fintech endeavor is truly a successful example of India's digital transformation, tremendously changing the way we pay and transact. It is the most recognized deployment of our public digital infrastructure. Today, 40% of the transaction at the global level done digitally take place in India through Unified Payment Interface or UPI, topping $1 trillion in value. And this is a huge leap considering that UPI was non-existent till April 2016. And all this has happened in just the span of 6 years. India is also deploying digital public infrastructure in a range of sectors with a view to create low-cost, high-volume, trusted transaction enablement for the citizen. It is also bringing a large number of Indians on various technology platforms and then fostering private sector innovation to build on top of these platforms. Our CoWIN, or Winning Against the COVID-19 platform, formed the backbone for India's vaccination. India has been implementing one of the largest vaccination drive in the world through this platform, whereby we have administered close to 2 billion vaccine doses using CoWIN to standardize, schedule, track, trace, and validate these vaccinations. The newest addition to our public digital infrastructure is the Open Network for Digital Commerce, or ONDC. The e-commerce market, as you are all well aware, has been traditionally dominated by a few large firms, and ONDC, in contrast to this, would allow small merchants to find new markets and improve their online visibility without hefty payment to big aggregators. It plans to bring greater equity and transparency to the digital commerce sector. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, India has offered to share its experience in this digital field to its partner countries which brings us to digital partnership at bilateral, regional, and global level. The experience of past couple of years has thrown spotlight on digital diplomacy, which ensured connectivity in the face of global pandemic where all kind of travels were restricted, and has further highlighted the importance of this field in bilateral engagement or multilateral engagement among the countries. In addition, the digital public goods are also becoming an avenue for a new type of global diplomacy. Our RuPay card and UPI payments are making their way to the international market, including in ASEAN, where we have just recently started discussions with Singapore on interoperability of digital payment mechanism. I read last year, I think a few of ASEAN countries, I think mainly 5 of them, have come together. Their central banks have signed an MOU for cross-border payment. I think as ASEAN also develops such kind of activity, it can then talk about an interoperable payment architecture between the whole of ASEAN, all 10 countries, and India, whereby initially we have started at the bilateral level. Digital partnership also form an important element of ASEAN-India relations. ASEAN-India Plan of Action, the current one, 2021-25, clearly lists out specific areas to enhance digital partnership in this field, including areas of capacity building and knowledge sharing, policy coordination on cybersecurity, promoting inclusive growth through digital trade, and ensuring digital transformation of MSMEs, which are important both for ASEAN countries and India. The annual ASEAN-India cooperation in this field is charted out through ASEAN-India Digital Work Plan, which currently includes project of capacity building in ITC and networking, broadband access, digital management of telecom infrastructure, and regulatory framework. India is also collaborating with CLMV countries, that is Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam, in building up sustainable IT infrastructure and virtual classrooms. The two sides are also setting up institutional linkages between different organizations which are very active in this field. We are talking about a linkage between Smart City Mission of India and ASEAN Smart City Network. We are also talking about linkages between ASEAN, Singapore Cyber Security Center of Excellence, our SETHI, and various other kind of organizations are also coming. We are also focusing on digital connectivity in various other interaction between India and ASEAN, such as the Startup Festival, the Innovation Festival. They are all focusing these days on digital solution. We also had a hackathon focusing on this area. Under Track 1.5 mechanism, we also have a mechanism of ASEAN-India Cyber Security Conference, which is held annually to brainstorm emerging challenges in this field and as well as discuss their collaborative solution. Strengthening ASEAN-India digital partnership is also an important part of our recently announced comprehensive strategic partnership, which was announced during the ASEAN-India Commemorative Summit in Cambodia last year. As I said, we were celebrating the 30th anniversary of our relation, and this was the commemorative summit for that celebration, where we announced the elevation of our partnership from strategic partnership to comprehensive strategic partnership. And currently, the two sides are discussing ways to implement this partnership, and digital connectivity and digital cooperation on digital transformation is one of the important areas under this. Friends, with digital transformation comes the responsibility of ensuring cybersecurity, privacy of individuals, shaping of international cyber governance to the interest of people. It also requires active engagement on various emerging challenges in the cyberspace and building comprehensive understanding on these issues. And as two regions, as our chair also said, that they are comparable in economic heft. So the two reasons we are also very focused on digital transformation, to see how digital transformation can help in the prosperity of our people. We are also have a comparable size of digital economy of around 150 billion for ASEAN, around 200 billion for India. So India and ASEAN are also very much focusing on strengthening our cooperation on cyber policy coordination, so that we can develop a common understanding on all these policy issues which are becoming very prominent these days. In conclusion, I would like to say that the digital partnership is an important topic of our time, both for ASEAN and India engagement, as well as for our youth. And I'm happy that in this youth summit, we are taking time to discuss this partnership. And I hope that with this discussion, we generate new ideas and common ground for our future endeavors in this field. Thank you.
Can I request Srinivas also to please?
Good afternoon to all of you. I'm really happy to see so many young people here. I just want to share some things that's happening in Hyderabad and in India per se for all of you. So 30 years ago, that's about 3 decades ago, if you came here, none of these things existed here. There were 1,000 software professionals in this city about 3 decades ago. Today, there are probably 1 million of them. That's a transformation that has happened. About the whole of India, we have about close to now $200 billion of software service exports and all of that. But now a lot of things starting to happen here in the domestic market. The context that probably you would like to see here is that in the first, I would say, 2 decades, 90s and from 2000 and to 2010, we focused on primarily developing or supplying the services to the US market and then to Europe to some extent, very little to in the Asian side of it. In the last 10 years, we said, fine, it's good that we are creating a lot of technology jobs in this country. So now how about us creating businesses here? So the focus has been creating the new entrepreneurs like you. That's in the context that I want to just share with you that what is that we are doing here so that you can also be part of it. So with the support of the government of India and the local state governments and all of them, we started creating what you call the incubation centers. So where the students from different institutions, they can come there, set up their companies there. One such thing I was told that you're visiting thereafter is a T-Hub, so which we started about 7 years ago in an university, and last year we moved it to the building that you're going to visit there. And that whole area that you would see like a New York downtown did not exist 10 years ago. It was all just a barren land and with stones and all of them. Today you go and see that almost every brand that you would recognize in this world is there. And the T-Hub and the associated, the buildings that are coming up, the T-Hub is open and functional. They also call something a T-Works. Basically you want to go and try, build something, some prototypes, you can do it there. And attached to that, you was talking about the whole media business there. There's something called, there's another building which which hosts all the entertainment related stuff, all this, I forgot exact name, but the one which deals with the industry, like he says, special effects and all that. So what we have been doing here is now with the help of the various the entities, that is the state government, central government and all that. So the people who are interested in starting new companies, people like you, they all come there. We also find them the money for them. First, initially we give them some seed money. Subsequently, when they look for some venture capital and all that, a lot of venture capital companies, either they come physically or online, they can talk to them, and we enable them not only to talk to the people based here, anywhere in India and anywhere in the world, primarily in the Silicon Valley kind of thing, especially in the tech, digital world. A lot of these connections happen between the Hyderabad here and then the Silicon Valley there. So any company comes to us and said, I want to grow. So not only the Indian market, we take them to the US market also through our partnership that exists in the Silicon Valley. For you now, what is something specific is, for a very long time, most of us, like including me, we all go to America for studies and then get a degree. Most of them stay back. Few of us have come back here. And when we came back here, we started still continuing to work with the US markets. It's, we build something, some technology or service, whatever it is, then we look at the US market to go and sell those services. That's all changed last 10 years. The Indian market, the domestic market itself is become sizable. The next 10 years, it'll become very big. Because it's not only we have over 1 billion people, but their purchasing power is also slowly increasing it. Not all billion people can buy everything, but it is increasing. So it's a big market for us. Now, the companies that are started there in other countries, especially in smaller countries like Israel kind of thing, and much of you in the Asian region also, there are a few large population countries, but there are also quite a few of the smaller population countries. And you have a bright idea, you do something there, but your market is too small. So you look at the Indian market, okay? So those opportunities are emerging. Now we are tying up with, when you go to the T-Hub, you could ask them too. So like, Indo, US, the European countries, everything individually there, Israel and all of them. So the Asian countries also can have some kind of arrangement with us here in T-Hub, where you start something in your own country, then when the product is there, it's available for other things, you can come and set up something here for yourself, both for the local Indian market and also for the talent. Sometimes, your company requires 100 or 1,000 software engineers. It's very difficult to find in some of the smaller population countries. You come here, within a month, you can find 1,000 of them. Okay. So when you need the human resources and also monetary, also there's a venture capital available across the board, and the big, large domestic market here. So it's a great opportunity for those of you who would like to get into the larger market access here. So that's one thing I want to mention to you. Then another thing is, already the two other speakers mentioned about how India has progressed in some of the common digital infrastructure. Not only the connectivity of the fiber connectivity across the country and all of them. More importantly, the UPI is probably, I think, in the last 5 years, one of the best things that ever happened in this country. You have known, all of you know about Visa, MasterCard and all that. They are the people who actually enable the transactions when you travel around the world. The international transactions were enabled them for a very long time. Today, they just cannot compete with UPI. It is so efficient. Every person you meet outside, they know how to use now that through their mobile phone. So you give them, nowadays, this one thing I want to, and I'm sure you've seen the videos and all of them. So most of the time when somebody did something, you want to give a little tip to them, and we look for money. I don't have any cash in hand. What do we do? So then you ask the telephone number and send the money, from your phone. So even the tips people are paying with the mobile payment, and it's all free, by the way. So you send 100 rupees, 100 rupees reaches the other person. There's no commissions in between that's being deducted. And it works very well. It's very efficient. That's one. Other things that we want to create as a nation is being done with the collaboration of many entities in this country, both private and private non-profits and the government of India with the other infrastructures. Today, the healthcare industry, you have hospitals, you have pharmacies, you have the testing facilities and all of them. They don't talk to each other. Everybody gives their own printout or a file, you go and do them, so each one is independent. So we are building now a common, interfacing infrastructure, open source kind of thing, where you can communicate seamlessly, whatever business you are in. So we just have to follow certain standards there. And so far it hasn't happened even in America, where most of us look for technology there. It is not there. So we're trying to create that one here. Countries in Asian region can also benefit out of it. It's an open thing, and I don't think we're going to charge for it, because it's all being done with the funding coming from different sources. Same thing being repeated for agriculture. Various entities that are in agriculture, all the way from production, consumption, transportation, all that, they don't talk to each other today. Same thing with education. We have so many universities and all of them. They don't talk to each other. So the common platform for education, agriculture, healthcare, financial transactions we have done, but these are the things that are the bigger opportunities for us, and we are taking the lead. Most of the time in the past, what happens is they do it in US or somewhere else there. We wait for a few years, then learn from them, and then create an Indian version of it. That has been for a very long time. Today, we are not waiting for them to create solutions for us. Sometimes what happens if when the markets are small and all of them, they have no incentive to do it. It is all Google their way kind of thing. So now we are starting to create solutions for our people, our markets here. When we do it here, this will be useful for similar markets across the world, Asian or Africa, whatever it is kind of thing. So very soon you will see in the next 4 or 5 years, the solutions that are created in India being used by various other countries across the world. So these are the common interfacing infrastructures which we talk about, the digital, the world in different fields, and our endeavor to create and to support lots of the young people like you to get into the euro-own companies, within India, from here or from somewhere else into India. So these are the facilitation that we are doing. Anyway, it's a very great opportunity for me to talk in front of you. I'll be here. I'll take any questions that you want to ask about Indian market in any way, from venture capital to the markets, that what you can do, the cross-border stuff. Please do let me know. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to both our esteemed panelists who laid out the broad structure around which we are seeing digital connectivity playing out. I'll just give a small anecdote and then I'll open up the floor. Srinivas, you were speaking about, earlier the innovation used to happen from the West, and, India produced its own version, and this is how corporations were and startups were built in our country. But a lot of interesting things have happened in digital goods. We were talking about digital goods. There was this, one small YouTube channel which started creating videos for infants. And then, one small Indian entrepreneur, he said that, why should American lullabies and videos be, be given to Indian infants for their entertainment? Why not we create an Indian version? So he created something called Choo Choo TV. It's CHU, Choo Choo TV. And they have, they started creating their own versions of Indian lullabies, and it just hooked on to the Indian young babies in the age group of 1 year to 3-4 years, around that bracket. But that, captured the imagination of the rest of the world. So much so that this entrepreneur sitting in India started getting requests from a lot of countries in our Southeast Asia region, as well as in the West, asking them to start making choo-choo videos in their own respective languages so that their babies can also look at those videos. So this is how digital goods, which, otherwise would, have had so much, barriers. It could have been cultural barriers, it could have been language barriers, etc. But such digital goods were created with the hope that, it was serving one audience, but then it transcended borders and it became public goods. And that single YouTube channel earns more than $90 million every year. So that's the scale of products which, somebody sitting in a remote corner can start and create and build such big enterprises, and it can cater to the needs of everybody around the world. So with that thinking, I want to open up and let us have a more engaging discussion with our esteemed panelists here. A lot of you, I believe, have questions around how can you build startups and how can you take the advantage of government schemes, etc. So please shoot your questions, and we would take them one by one. So we'll start from this corner. Please, could you just introduce your name and your country, please? Thank you. And who is the question addressed to? Can you please switch on all the mics? Please switch on all the audience mics there, please. It's not working. Yes.
Thank you very much, honorable panelists. Okay, my name is Fikri Al-Hafid. I'm from Indonesia. I'm going to ask a very direct questions pertaining to the topics for today. So it's for both of the panelists, actually. I believe that India has tremendous development in technology, right? And then the question is, what is the secret behind that massive digital transformations or the digitalizations, and how can it reach the outermost part of the country? Okay, I believe that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll club a couple of questions together and then we'll address them. Please go ahead.
Check. Thank you. My name is Meryl. I'm from North Sumatra, Indonesia. I have just a three maybe feedback or quick question. The first one about the immigration about ASEAN and India, because we just arrived here and the so many long queue in immigrations. Would it be possible to have like maybe one chip in ASEAN for ASEAN or India, so we can enter the gate, just tap on without like queuing, because it's about digitalization, right? And then the second one is about the e-voting, because we know that India is the largest democratic country in the world. And in Indonesia, we're gonna have the election next year. And that's why one of the reasons I'm coming here as well, because I want to do a research on electronic voting, because India has already done it before. And the third one is, I know there's like a lot of fintech company wants to invest in Indonesia, but because we have some restriction of or law and regulations that it's not the same with the ASEAN country, maybe like the tax benefit and everything. So India tend to, build a company in ASEAN country, like most of it maybe in Singapore, and they invested in Indonesia just because if you establish a company in Singapore, you have the benefit of ASEAN country. And I would like to help and contribute to address this issue. If any of the fintech company or the technology company wants to invest in Indonesia, maybe we can have discussions about the policy and discretion for this issue. Thank you so much.
Your last question would require a whole session dedicated to it. But I'll start off with, sir, if you could answer the question on what are the fundamental things that resulted in this tech transformation in our country? What were those, ground things that we did correctly?
Yes. See, as long as we were depending on the fiber reaching every nook and corner of the country, it took time because we had to dig and lay those things there. And for Indonesia, especially if you have so many islands and all of them, it's even difficult. At least in India, we have one big landmass. So what changed for us is when the 3G and 4G telecommunication came in, they went to every nook and corner of it. Okay. So with that, and the smartphones becoming cheaper, people who have never seen a computer started using a computer equivalent device, which is basically the smartphone. That has changed in this country, the digital transformation that has happened. Subsequently, the governments, various governments, they started drawing the fiber lines also. I would not say there is a fiber line to every village around here. It is there most of the little larger places, but the wireless signal goes to, I would say, much of the India. Leaving few forest areas and all of them, we're very well connected for performing transactions across the country.
Would you want to answer the immigration through technology interventions and, of course, the EVM as well?
Thank you. I think the second set of questions were not really questions, they are suggestions, I think. What she was saying is like, why don't we have digital solution for big immigration queues? Why don't we use digital solution for voting, which we have done in India? Or I think the third one was to take advantage of ASEAN integrity in setting up businesses. Why don't we set up a company in Singapore and take advantage and then do investment in Indonesia, if I understood correctly. So I think all your three suggestions are really good. And I'll not say there is any hindrance in doing any of this. I think e-voting we have been using EVMs for a very long time now. So I think this is a place where we can collaborate with ASEAN or Indonesia as maybe we can do a joint study how it can be extended to ASEAN countries. On immigration, of course, digital, we can look at digital solution for immigration, but I think as the chair has said, we have to have entire different session to discuss various possibilities on how to implement this. But I think they are all three very good suggestions. Thank you.
So I'll talk about the businesses that you do it, so I do it for a living for that. First, I don't know what happened when you entered, why there are long queues there. I've not been outside India for almost a year, but otherwise I travel across the world. Especially Hyderabad airport is one of the fastest to get through it. just we don't stand there more than 10 minutes, like more like Singapore kind of thing. They've opened a lot of things. I don't know what happened when you came in. It is all completely digitized for us, and when they go there, I go and stand in front of the camera. My record comes up there. So there's something probably is some issue that day, but otherwise that's not really an issue for us, at least in Hyderabad airport and Bangalore airport. Some of the older Government of India run airports, they still have some issues. Okay, that's on that. Now, in terms of the investing and setting up the companies and all that, yes, it's true that for a very long time, people who came into India, they came through Mauritius. Then subsequently, the same kind of agreement was extended to Singapore. So when we go to Asian countries there, we go and set up a company in Singapore and do business with all the countries in that region. The vice versa. The people also came to Singapore, set up a company there. From there, they invested in India. So, but now recently, something has happened in this country. So we don't have to go to Mauritius any longer. Within India, they created an enclave called GIFT City. That's in the state of Gujarat. In GIFT City, it's like a foreign territory. Whatever you do in Singapore, you can do there. And for a much lesser price, of course, because it's, you don't have the stipulations. Like in Singapore, I want to set up a fund or something like, I need to spend something $250,000. Here, it's not that expensive. So those of you who would like to come into India now, you don't have to go through Singapore or some other place where it's expensive. So you can come through the GIFT City. And that's just started very recently. So probably this year it will become certainly operational. So that will take away some of the other challenges that you have had kind of thing. So it will be very similar to you setting up in Singapore and doing the business. The GIFT City is also just replicating the same system.
Well, I agree. I think I'll just add one line to your last question. Venture capital is smart capital. They will go and exploit tax regimes wherever they're able to structure corporations wherein they can minimize the taxes, minimize or maximize the incentives that the governments offer. And this is why Singapore and Dubai have emerged as these, destination wherein every business wants to register there financially, but wants to do their operations in big size countries like India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, etc. So, these questions, these struggles will carry on, and there will be some capital city-states like Singapore and Dubai, which will sort of try and gain advantage out of it through very lucrative, attractive schemes that are out there. But we'll have to live with it. Countries like India are constantly trying to innovate their startup policies so as to attract more companies, and I'm sure Indonesia is really good at learning the ropes, the kind of policies, especially in financial administration, that they have come up with. I'm sure they'll be able to catch up on the startup policies also. Next question is in this corner, and then we come to you.
Hello, my name is Patui, a delegate from Thailand. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. You talk like India is the hub of technology, have the largest market of technology. According to the India population data, there are more poor people than the rich people. I would like to know how India's technology helps India reduce the gap between the poor and the unprivileged. Thank you.
One more question we'll take. Yes, please.
Hello, I'm Tu from Vietnam, and I'm come from the Youth Union of Vietnam and also the Vietnam Young Physician Association. So I have one question and actually one proposal. So for I heard from earlier panelists. So they will be the program of fostering young champions and especially startup to be mentored and supported by the government and venture and by the India Foundation. So I just wonder when we will be implement and how. And for the proposal, it's come from our experience during COVID-19. We at that time it's very difficult, and through digital platform, we able to rally young volunteer doctor to have over 4 million, about 40% of our COVID-19 patients at that time. So we understand that the digital transformation and digital platform can do much more than just communication. So I wonder if we can have some kind of platforms that help us just not only in communicating and mentoring, but also funding and consumption. Because during all of the conversation for the last 1-2 days, we see that ASEAN country and India, we all have thing in common, that we are the supplier and we also the importer. And at the world nowadays, we need to find alternative source. And for example, in Vietnam, we actually can produce drone at the price even cheaper than China. And I heard from the news it's same in India. And we are looking for more communication, for importing more parts and to reduce the cost even further, and to exporting our product also. So I don't know if come from here, because in our country we don't have like sandbox center much like India. So I just wonder if we can have something more to communicate, more networking in terms of helping the startup, especially innovation startup, to do it go further. Thank you.
Well, if I understand your question correctly, let me paraphrase it. You're saying that there are technologies which are developed in Thailand, Vietnam. These technologies, can they see a potential market in India as well, which includes drones, from physical hardware technologies like drones, all the way to platforms and digital platforms that your country has built? Would India potentially be interested in that, in those technologies as well? Is that right?
I will talk about it. It's not just that. Like I wonder if we can do some kind of platform that not only trading between product and product, but also do some other function like communication and mentoring, and even funding for.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So you want to take this second question and then.
So if I understood you correctly, I think there is this ASEAN-India Science and Technology Fund, where we are collaborating with various ASEAN countries in joint research. So I think that is something which can be looked into. If you have specific ideas, we can look into that. There is a lot of good research collaboration which is going on. We recently announced recapping of this fund by $5 million, so that the fund or the joint collaboration can continue. So I think this is one which you can look at. Thank you.
I think on the more prolific question around how do you narrow the social divide through technology?
Yes. And I just want to tell you, I'm not a government officer, so whatever comments I make, it's my personal comments, okay? But the question that you asked about this, the rich poor thing, what you want to do. See, this is we have now, with the latest estimates, about 1.4 billion people. There's a large numbers there. And most of our people, till recently, they lived in villages and they did agriculture. And you know it from your countries also, the people who are in agriculture do not have very big incomes. So it's only started about 30 years ago, people starting to come in, we started getting into service economy. Now, within that, we call India is one country, it's actually two. One is these modern things that you see around, we call India. We also call that billion people who live in the villages as Bharat. Bharat is actually the original name of this country before the British called us India. So we have to do a very balancing part of it. What you do, the wealth is created, non-agriculture wealth is created in the cities. And then you tax them. It's almost now our tax revenues are close to $500 billion. So that's gone up too. So this one not only used for building the infrastructure for the cities and all of them, a part of it is used now to support them. A state like this state, for example, gives, in Indian rupees I will say it, but in dollars also something like $150 per acre of free money to the farmers so that they can use that money to grow the crops. There is a crop insurance like that. So this is all happening because it's not from the taxes that they're paying, from the taxes that we're all paying here. So, but there has to be a balance there. So whatever you do it, if you tax too much, the businesses will run away or the businesses won't start. So there's a balancing that's happening. Last 4-5 years, with the wealth of the India growing up in urban centers, and that money is used to help the farmers. And also, we never had a retirement benefit for the elderlies. The 60-year-old woman did not have a social security for us. In the US and all that, I don't know, in the countries, I know Singapore has, every citizen gets some X amount of money. We have now in this country, the older people and all of them after a certain age, they get some fixed income kind of thing. So these things started now, give another 20, 30 years, so we start bringing them up there. The digital, how it is helping is, very importantly for us, we don't, earlier, suppose a government wants to give the money, they give it to district give to somebody and they go there. In between, some money used to miss. Today, it goes directly into their account. From the government of India, presses a button, you want to give them $200 a month, the $200 goes there directly to their account. Okay? So that is something, digital things have helped at least removing the inefficiencies and reaching the money to the beneficiary directly. But we're still not yet rich enough to say that, everybody lives in, nice things. But a lot of improvement I have seen last 30 years. You come back when you're 50-year-old, I think you'll be much better society.
I'll just add to what he said is like, as I spoke in my presentation also, the digital public infrastructure is focused on that part of it, so that there is to bridge the gap between rich and poor. As you said, all the digital public infrastructure are free and open. Lots of, like he just spoke about how the transfer of money is now very, very efficient because of that Jan Dhan Yojana, where government ensured that every citizen has a bank account above a certain age. Even we are utilizing a lot of these digital goods, digital tools for agriculture, so that, as you must be aware, a lot of Indian population, a majority depends on agriculture. So we are directly employing this digital goods or digital technology in agriculture sector, so that our most common people are benefited. India has one of the most intense penetration of mobile phones and very least charges for data. So these are all kept, these are all been implemented with a view that the digital platform or digital goods are truly inclusive and widespread. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, we will almost come to conclusion of our session. I want to, finish off on the thought that, when we started off our discussion for this session, we said that consider as digital connectivity as broad infrastructure which the government lays. And just like a highway that you build, it's not only for Mercedes to move on those highways, right? It's for common people also to use that, and the positive externalities of any infrastructure are net positive. You will see that these infrastructure around digital ways that are being created will serve all strata of society. It will ensure opportunities reach to those hidden corners which haven't been served so far. Those offer new and interesting opportunities. Today there are gig economy, gig workers. Where do they go for their jobs? There are applications, mobile applications, which are created for base of the pyramid jobs, blue collar jobs. So wherever you see there is an opportunity, think critically, and your digital connectivity infrastructure is going to showcase new and exciting ways of doing business in the future. With that, I want to thank both the esteemed guests, and I want all of you to also give a warm round of applause and thank both these esteemed guests.
I would like to thank the panel for such an insightful session. Now I'd like to call upon Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director, India Foundation, to kindly come up on the dais and felicitate our panelists. Now we have a break for about till 7 p.m. And at 7 p.m. we have debriefing. Debriefing for the ASEAN countries will happen in the lawn where we had dinner last night. And the debriefings for the Indian delegates will happen within this hall. So I would like to request everyone to kindly get back at your respective debriefing places by 7 p.m. Meanwhile, during the break, we have few activities arranged for all of you in the lawn. So if you would like, you can kindly go and check some out and have fun with it. Thank you.